I would like to remind again, before we begin, kindly ensure your mobile phones are on silent mode throughout the event. Your refreshment and lunch will be served later. Kindly take your seat as we will begin our program shortly. Announcing the arrival of distinguished guests, please rise. Honorable Dato Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Burgut, Dean of International Institute of Islamic Thoughts and Civilization, ISTAC IIUM, Mr. Koh Sia Fei, General Director of Sokagakai Malaysia, Mr. Johnny Ng, President of Sokagakai Malaysia, Your Excellencies, representative from Diplomatic Corps, distinguished speakers, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Anwar Ali, Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Azizan Baharudin, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, salam sejahtera, and a very good morning. Welcome to the Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture 2025, organized by the International Institute of Islamic Thoughts and Civilization in collaboration with Sokagakai Malaysia. It is indeed an honor and privilege to have all of you with us today as we gather to commemorate Dr. Ikeda's legacy of peace, unity, and education. This event is also accessible online through ISTAC TV YouTube platform, and we extend a warm welcome to all those joining us virtually. To begin this auspicious day, let us turn to Allah for blessings and guidance. I would like to invite Brother Hamid Nasrullah to lead the recitation of a short prayer. Please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم إنا نسألك فواتح الخير وخواتمه وجوامعه وأوله وظاهره وباطنه والدرجات العلى في الجنة يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك خير المسألة وخير الدعاء وخير النجاح وخير العمل وخير الثواب وخير الحياة وخير الممات، وثبتنا وثقل موازيننا وحقق إيماننا وارفع درجاتنا وتقبل صلاتنا واغفر خطيئاتنا، ونسألك الدرجات العلى في الجنة يا رب العالمين. O Allah, we humbly ask you to make this supplication among the best of our prayers. Grant us success in all our actions and bless us with fruitful knowledge, noble characters, and sincere effort that bring benefit to ourselves, our families, and Ummah. O Allah, we ask you to make our scales heavy with good deeds, strengthen us in patience and resilience, and grant us wisdom in our pursuits, make us humble in our achievements, steadfast in our faith, compassionate toward others, and appreciative of the diversity among us. Inspire us with beneficial ideas, protect us from harm, and teach us what we don't know from your infinite wisdom. Merciful Allah, we have dedicated ourselves to action that uplift the Ummah, our communities, and our university. Accept our efforts, bless us with guidance, and lead all graduates, faculty, and staff toward a path of truth, compassion, and excellence. O Allah, make this gathering on field with your mercy, and let our partying be under your protection. Grant us success in this life and the hereafter, and protect us from the fire. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma, وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل اللهم فينا ولا معنا ولا من يتبعنا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Brother Hamid, for the beautiful recitation. To officially begin our program, it is my pleasure to invite Datuk Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bergud, Dean of ISTAC IIUM, to deliver the welcoming remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our program today. Mr. Ko Sia Fei, General Director of Sukai Gakkai Malaysia, Mr. Johnny, President of the Sukai Gakkai Malaysia, Your Excellencies, representatives from Diplomatic Corps, distinguished speakers, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Anwar Ali, Professor Emerita Dr. Azizan Baharuddin, Mr. Johnny, President of the Sukai Gakkai Malaysia, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our program today and very good morning to everyone. It's really a great honor to have this wonderful audience and participant gathering here to talk about one of the great luminaries of our time, Daisaku Ikeda. Today we are having the second memorial lecture of Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the first time that we invited such kind of an audience to discuss issues and problems and challenges related to what's happening in our world today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture, which comes in a very critical time. We are living in a world which is called the post-normal world, a world which is full of complexities, issues, challenges, and problems, and we are looking for the ideas, the wisdom of great scholars. Our scholar today, Daisaku Ikeda, is one of those people who contributed immensely to the development of a new narrative that brings peace, education, culture, and brings people together to face the challenges. Let me first and foremost and warmly welcome all those present today at this beautiful hall of ISTAC IIUM. You are here to attend and participate in this second Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture 2025. I would like to extend gratitude to all invited speakers, diplomats, participants, lecturers, students, and all participants from all walks of life. We are immensely grateful to have you in attendance here today. I would like also to extend my warm welcome to the great distinguished speakers who agreed to be with us today and share their wisdom and knowledge on the topic. In particular, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Anwar Ali, Professor Emerita Dr. Azizan Baharuddin, and Mr. Johnny. I would like also to extend my appreciation to the esteemed Diplomatic Corps and all the distinguished delegates present at this occasion today. Our program today takes place within this beautiful hall of ISTAC in collaboration with SGM, and this is not the first time that we organize programs and activities with SGM. For your information, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, one of the main missions of the IIUM and ISTAC is to foster intercultural, inter-civilizational, and cultural engagement of people, cultures, and civilizations. ISTAC IIUM organize these events to translate the mission of IIUM into actions and activities that brings people, scholars, researchers, and the people of different cultures together. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, in our pursuit of promoting civilizational and cultural diplomacy, we have arranged many arts, cultural, and civilizational exhibitions. The most recent one is the Alhambra Palace exhibition, which was organized in partnership with the Embassy of Spain in Malaysia. The International Meeting on Sanctity of Human Life, held at IIUM on July 24th, 2024, was another significant event initiated by ISTAC IIUM and its partners. We also had, in collaboration with SGM, the shared values on peace and harmonious coexistence, featuring 2 exhibitions held on 27 September 2024, the Lotus Sutra, Harmonious Coexistence, and Islam on Peace and Harmonious Coexistence. The program scheduled for today is unique by its emphasis by emphasizing the second Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture, stressing the importance of education, peace, and charting the future for a better world. For the information of our participant today, Islam acknowledges that all humanity is inherently diverse, unique, and distinct, allowing individuals for mutual engagement and mutual understanding, looking for common values. I read from the Quran, "O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes. You may know one another. You may engage with one another. You may bring your cultures, your traditions, your values to a common ground. The most honored of you in the sight of God is those who do good things for themselves and for humanity." Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, within the context today, we confront challenges not only with our cognitive faculties, intelligence, and specialized knowledge and skills, but also with our innermost being and heart. As a wellspring of serenity, admiration, confidence, affection, solidarity, harmony, and optimism. Daisaku Ikeda once said that knowledge alone does not generate wisdom. Transformation of knowledge into wisdom requires the involvement of the heart, means the human well-being. Lastly, I would want to express my appreciation to the individuals who have contributed to the success of this program, including the team from ISTAC IIUM, Dr. Nurul Ain Norman and her team, and the team from SGM. A special thanks to Mr. Ko Siafei and Mr. Johnny and Joanna for all the great efforts that has been put to ensure that this event today is a success. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to mention and acknowledge that without the contribution and participation and effort undertaken by SGM, this event might not take place. So a wonderful thank you to SGM and the team for all the great efforts that you are doing, brothers and sisters. At the end, I would like to mention to you that the book of the first Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture is here with us today. And this book here is a wonderful book featuring the views, the wisdom, and the ideas of those scholars who were invited last year to present their ideas in the Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture. The scholars who contribute to this book are Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Baka, who is today the 7th rector of IIUM. Professor Dr. Christopher Cheong Meng Bai, and also Associate Professor Dr. Imtiaz Yusuf and Ms. Tina Leong. The book contains a lot of ideas and views and also features the contributions of Daisaku Ikeda. Because of the contribution of SGM, this book is available for all the participants here today for free. May God bless you all. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz, for the inspiring words. Next, we are privileged to hear from Mr. Koh Sia Fei, General Director of Sokagakai, Malaysia, who will deliver the opening remarks. Mr. Koh, the floor is yours.
Honorable Dato Professor Dr. Abdulaziz Bugot, Dean of IIUM, ISTAC, Mr. Johnny Ng, President of Sokagakai, Malaysia, Your Excellency, distinguished speakers, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Anwar Ali, Professor Emeritus Dr. Azizan Bahaduddin, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, Salam Sejahtera. A very good morning to all of you. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to ISTAC IIUM, particularly to Professor Abdulaziz, for graciously co-organizing the second Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture, together with Sokagakai, Malaysia. I would also like to extend my heartfelt congratulations on the publication of the booklet commemorating the first memorial lecture held last year, as mentioned by Professor Abdulaziz just now. The Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture provides an invaluable opportunity to reflect on Dr. Ikeda's extraordinary life and vision while reaffirming our commitment, our shared dedication to building a world of peace, harmonious coexistence, and empowerment for all humanity. Today, we are truly honored to have distinguished speakers, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali, Professor Emeritus Dato Azizan Bahaduddin, Dato Professor Dr. Abdulaziz, and SGM President Mr. Johnny Ng to deliver their insightful memorial lectures. We are indeed deeply grateful. ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ikeda, a celebrated Buddhist philosopher, peace builder, and educator who has devoted his whole life to fostering peace and promoting the dignity of life. As the founding president of Soka Gakkai International, that is SGI, he envisioned a humanistic movement rooted in peace, culture, and education. This year's lecture takes on even greater significance as it coincides with the 50th anniversary of SGI's founding. Established on January 26, 1975, in Guam, US territory, a place of immense devastation and suffering during World War II, SGI symbolically began as a global peace movement to foster understanding across culture and promote the ideals of peace. On that historic day, that is the 26th January 1975, when signing his name in the official guest book, Dr. Ikeda, instead of writing the word Japanese, he wrote the words world citizen under the quorum for nationality. This is a clear testament of his profound worldview. This simple yet powerful act encapsulated his vision for humanity, a vision unbounded by national or cultural divisions, affirming that peace begins with each individual recognizing their shared responsibility as citizens of the world. In the 50 years since its founding, SGI, rooted in the principle of peace, culture, and education, has grown into a diverse community spanning 192 countries and territories, uniting individuals from diverse backgrounds. Guided by Dr. Ikeda's humanistic philosophy and dedication to dialogue, this movement has positively transformed the life of millions of people, fostering hope and resilience even in challenging times. Central to Dr. Ikeda's legacy are his annual peace proposal to the United Nations, submitted every January 26 since 1983. These proposals address humanity's most pressing issue, from nuclear abolition and climate action to human rights and education, offering concrete steps to build a more sustainable and just world. Now, as the former UN Under-Secretary General, Ambassador Anwaru K. Chafuri so aptly remarked, I quote, "I know of no one who has highlighted the role and responsibility of the United Nations so consistently, relentlessly, and substantively for such a long period of time as President Ikeda. For the last 40 years, his annual peace proposal have contained brilliant ideas and suggestions for the good of humanity. I'm encouraged he has highlighted empowerment of people as a major element in building the culture of peace," unquote. Through peace proposal, education's initiative, cultural exchanges, and interfaith dialogue, Dr. Ikeda demonstrated that lasting peace is built on trust, compassion, and mutual respect, not merely the absence of conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gathered here today, let us draw inspiration from Dr. Ikeda's unwavering conviction in the power of the individual to effect positive changes. Let us also renew our commitment to fostering the spirit of solidarity and cooperation that transcend differences and unite us in our shared humanity. In closing, I wish to once again express my deepest gratitude to ISTAC IIUM, to the speakers, and to all the participants this morning who have made this event possible. May today's lecture inspire us to advance the ideals of peace and harmonious coexistence that Dr. Ikeda so tirelessly advocated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ko, for your sharing your thoughts and encouragement. Ladies and gentlemen, to inspire and uplift us, we are pleased to present a special poetry recital titled Hope is Life's Treasure, which will be presented by youth representative of Soka Gakkai, Malaysia. As Dr. Ikeda often said, in a life filled with challenges, what is most important is to never lose hope. Now, let us warmly welcome Ng Shi Zhen, Tan Yi Zhang, and Chao Bo Zhang with a round of applause.
Hope is life's treasure. Those who always have hope are happy. One can have all the wealth, power, and fame in the world. But if one loses hope, one will falter and stumble in life. The ancient Roman orator Cicero wrote, "Our capital is invested in hope rather than in money. If that hope be abandoned, all else will be amassed, only to be lost later on. The arrogant who ridicule the hopeful invariably fall in defeat, left with naught but regret. On no account must we ruin our lives, which shine with such promise."
Hope is a jewel that inspires and uplifts. As long as we have hope, we will never be deadlocked. Victory always awaits, and happy smiles spread where there is hope. Hope is a flower that blossoms in effort and perseverance. Hope is the noble, visible reward of those who accumulate unseen virtue. People who live out their lives with hope never become jaded or apathetic. A contributive life of giving hope to those who are suffering is a source of growth, fulfillment, learning, creativity, and solidarity. Hope is the hallmark of invincible fortitude. Life is a struggle, hence our challenge is to live with optimism and strength year after year.
Hope, hope, hope. At the start of a new year, a new day. Let us set forth, brimming with bright hope, the sun of time without beginning, shining in our hearts. Let us boldly break through even the deepest turmoil of these troubled times and be the ones to create hope. Let us advance in triumph, imparting the hope of absolute victory to one person after another. The French writer and activist Romain Rolland said, "The last hope of our day lies in youth." My young friends, never be defeated. No matter what trials and hardships may befall you, never lose sight of the golden light of hope. Oh, my friends, my beloved friends, whom I trust with all my heart, live out your lives with hope. Be victorious without fail. Daisaku Ikeda, January 2nd, 2012.
Thank you, SGM Youth, for the meaningful and beautiful performance. Now, we move on to the main highlight of today's event, the Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture. This session will feature esteemed speakers who will share insights on peace and harmonious coexistence, reflecting Dr. Ikeda's legacy. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad El-Mohammadi to moderate the session. Please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. And before I start, I would like to invite all speakers, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali, Professor Emeritus Dr. Azizan Baharuddin, Datuk Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Barguth, Mr. Johnny Eng. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good morning. First and foremost, let me welcome all of you to the second Daisaku Ikeda Memorial Lecture, which is held today at the ISTAC Hall on the Wednesday, January 2025. And today we are honored to have 4 distinguished speakers. And each one of them will be speaking to you, I think about 15-20 minutes. And the first speaker would be Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali. He's the former Vice Chancellor, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and the former President, Open University Malaysia. Welcome, Tan Sri. The second is Professor Emeritus Dr. Azizan Baharuddin, is the Official Advisor Center for Civilizational Dialogue, University Malaya. And the third is Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Barguth, the Dean, International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, ISTAC IIUM. And last but not the least, Mr. Johnny Eng Teck Sim, the President of Suka Gakkai Malaysia. Without any further ado, I now would like to invite the first speaker, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali. You're welcome, friends.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a good morning to all. The chairman of the panel, good morning to you. Honorable Dato' Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Baghat, the Dean of the International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, ISTAC IIUM, my dear friend Mr. Ko Siape, the General Director of Soka Gakkai, Malaysia, Mr. Johnny Ng, the President of Soka Gakkai, Malaysia, Your Excellencies and representatives from the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished speakers who are here this morning, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm most delighted to be here this morning and really honored to attend this memorial lecture for Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. I'm most delighted and happy to be here because I've been associated with Soka Gakkai Malaysia for a long time. Since 1999, when I was the Vice Chancellor of UKM. I'm very happy also to say that Soka Gakkai has grown tremendously since then. Within the last 2 decades, I'm told that there are 70,000 members of SGM in our country. That is indeed a great achievement. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ikeda is among the most and respected philosophers in Japan and beyond its shores. His philosophy and thoughts on world peace, human and societal development have a great impact on many people around the world. During his lifetime, he has been prolific in writing and expounding the many issues that are close to him. I wish I can read all his books. But as professors and academic community, in the academic community, we have other responsibilities. But nevertheless, as I said earlier, through my association, through UKM, as well as Open University Malaysia, I've indeed been privileged to be associated with Soka Gakkai International, through Soka Gakkai Malaysia, as well as Soka University. And in that sense, indirectly to Dr. Ikeda himself, since, as I said, my early days in UKM. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, in February 2009, well before COVID, OUM conferred the honorary degree of humanities to Dr. Ikeda at Soka University in view of his great contribution to world peace and humanity. And it was indeed a great occasion for Open University Malaysia as well at that time, because we have the presence of our beloved Chancellor Tun Jin Abdullah. In my speech at the conferment ceremony, I quote, "Dr. Ikeda is a visionary man who believes in education and world peace, which are closely interlinked. Likewise, at OUM, being the Vice Chancellor then, I need to promote OUM as well. We believe that education spurs socio-economic development to alleviate the living standards of the community. And at the same ceremony, Dr. Ikeda said, those who adopt lifelong learning will emerge victorious in their lives. Education is the noblest pursuit that brings greater meaning to our existence. The advantage of education can be realized during trying times, especially now, on that day in 2009, when the world is threatened by adversity, unquote. But I'm also happy to say that earlier, the year before, in May 2008, our Chancellor, Tun Jin Abdullah, was awarded the highest honor by Soka University, and while in September 2009, our Prime Minister at that time, Tun Abdullah Badawi, was awarded a doctoral degree at Soka University. So, ladies and gentlemen, being associated with SDM and being associated with education, particularly higher education in our country, I believe what has been said, what has been mentioned by Dr. Ikeda makes a lot of relevance to the development of education in our country in the years to come. Dr. Ikeda emphasized a few fundamental philosophy in terms of education. And one of them is that education is indeed fundamental to peace and positive social change and the nurturing of individual potential in our society. Education, as we have heard earlier, according to Dr. Ikeda, is about empowering people or community to lead happy and creative lives. Thirdly, knowledge, according to him, should serve the cause of human happiness and peace and good of mankind. Hence, advancing education and lifelong learning are essential aspects of society's knowledge creation. Thus, according to Dr. Ikeda, the important role of teachers and in our universities, the important role of academics, of faculty members as agents of change and the revitalization of our education. Now, in that sense, how do I see the relationship between what has been said, what has been written by Dr. Ikeda in the Malaysian education context? We all know, as Malaysians, that in 1988, the government adopted, or rather the Ministry of Education at that time, adopted the national philosophy of education in line with the nation's Rukun Negara. It is a set of beliefs which are aligned to the nation's educational framework, with the vision to develop students who are knowledgeable, skilled, and balanced in all aspects of their lives. Now, we all know that in our country, like any other country, there are three pillars of education: school education, higher education, and lifelong education. And this is where I think even though I've left OUM, I like to promote OUM and other ODL institutions. Because like us all here, education is never ending. It's a process that develops us, that strengthens us, and make the society full of vitality. We are, of course, encouraged by the persistency of countries like us, as a developing country, that wants to educate every citizen, every child in this country. So in this national philosophy of education, if we read through the writing, it is very much interconnected with the community. It wants the community to develop good work ethics, shared moral values, and the belief in God. This also implies the need to develop our students at all levels to be capable intellectually, spiritually, and emotionally. While as an academic, we observe this as a much desired roadmap. But in translating the philosophy, we have, as we all know, as we are all aware, many challenges that has to be overcome. With good political leadership, with good academic institution in our country. So, to me, although I have been with higher education for the last half a century, it's still never-ending process. There's so much to be there. We see the horizon, but we haven't reached the horizon. For those, this is marketing. For those who are interested to know more about what my views are, read my book on higher education, my experiences and observation for our country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's much to be done, and I believe the challenges for us, unlike Japan, unlike what Dr. Ikeda has said, the challenges are indeed very different, compounded by many factors such as our multifarious complexities in our multi-ethnic and religious background. But nevertheless, we always have hope. And you remember the two boys and one girl, we speak about hope. And all of us, I believe, had that hope. Somewhere down the line, we can tell the Prime Minister, we can tell the Ministers of Education and higher education, there's so much to be done to achieve what Dr. Ikeda and we all agree that there's a lot to be done, and the share of that burden is among us all, whether they are politicians, leaders, and the academic community. Dok, berapa lama lagi? Huh? 5 minit. It's only halfway. Never mind. No, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that always strikes us as a Malaysian citizen, and this is what we relate to our education system. We always talk about forging a united Malaysian nation and Bangsa Malaysia. And we hope this is taken note of by our leaders, whether they're political leaders or otherwise, because we want to see a developed and progressive Malaysian society with strong socio-economic equality and narrowing the gap between the income groups in our region, in our country, as well as narrowing the regional imbalances in our country. Now, I must say this a little bit because actually not many people know that I am involved. This is a little secret. Involved in fixing the minimum wage for this country. The point is, I have been involved for 12 years. And if the workers don't agree, they blame me, not the government. Very funny, isn't it? But on the 1st of February this year, the minimum wage will go up to 1,700 ringgit. I'm sure most of you here are well above the minimum wage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what has happened is this, if I can share, and it has some reflection of what Dr. Ikeda and what I said earlier. Because of the minimum wage, there's an issue about, one, the lowering down of salaries for new graduates, and this has become an issue. Secondly, a lot of the wages of semi-skilled or half-skilled workforce in our country is actually just leveling off above the minimum wage. So I think that's an issue related to the distribution of income between the working population of our country. Now, if I give you a lecture on minimum wage, I can last a whole day. But nevertheless, coming to the main topic of today's inaugural lecture, we can always pinpoint the importance of our national education policy to what Dr. Ikeda has said with regard to education. And I hope that in the years to come, we are more serious about interpreting the tenets of the national education philosophy. And for this, I'm sure you will agree with me, our country, our nation, like any other middle-income nation, would like to have our workforce well-trained with industry talent that have the right knowledge and skills. We have to determine the appropriate discipline at the various higher institutions. And of course, I also believe, like Dr. Ikeda and the rest of us, that in any education system, the focus must be the student, must be the student. The academic committee happens to be there. If they want to promote themselves, well and good. But at the end of the day, the system must be student-centered. Whether it is at school, whether it is in the universities, or whether for those who want to uplift their education and qualification in the lifelong system, our lifelong system, our country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would say and believe that the fundamental philosophy and the everlasting thoughts of Dr. Daisaku Ikeda with respect to education are certainly much aligned to the national education philosophy and our Rukun Negara. Of course, first, the need to implement them well is of course crucial for our country. And secondly, being different from what Dr. Ikeda has gone through, not only in terms of Japanese education, but also the worldwide scenario. We need some little modification to suit our national and local priorities. And I always believe, like you all, like people at SGM, that there's always hope for our country and for our nation. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you very much, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali, for sharing your word of wisdom. Let us now continue to the next speaker, Professor Emeritus Dr. Azizan Baharudin. She is Official Advisor, Center for Civilizational Dialogue, University Malaya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. To my non-Muslim friends, that was just a small prayer so that Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Almighty God, will give me some strength and resilience against myself to speak about what I want to speak about and share with conviction. I would like to speak from the heart, and much has been said about the importance of spirituality and human beings reconnecting with their hearts, which is a very important organ. Scientists say that the heart is more intelligent than the brain, actually, and so on and so forth. I come from a science background, sorry. So I have been much inspired by Dr. Ikeda, Daisaku Ikeda, and in my own journey as an academician, who is also I'm also an activist. This is a problem with some academics, actually. So I hope in whatever little humble statements that I make, the perception will change. That if you have knowledge, you have to be active about it. As in the Islamic tradition, you have to have ilm, knowledge. You have to have iman, faith. But you also have to have amal, the actions, right? So there are many books that we can refer to, but the one that I particularly liked to share with you a little bit of my thoughts about is the one called Planetary Citizenship, authored by Dr. Ikeda and also Dr. Hazel Henderson. And both of these luminaries are actually critical thinkers in the field of sustainable development. So much is talked about Western scholars vis-a-vis sustainable development, but I think not enough is shared about the thinking of scholars who are not explicitly from the West, such as Dr. Ikeda. So in the time that we have, precious time that we have, I'd like very much to share some thoughts on that. So I beg your pardon, I would like to now announce my salutations and great thanks to the organizers, beginning with Honorable Datuk Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bagood. Sorry, Prof, I've been quiet a bit lately because life has taken on a different dimension, if you like. Mr. Koh Siafei, General Director of Soka Gakkai Malaysia, Mr. Johnny Ng, President of Soka Gakkai Malaysia, Your Excellencies, representatives from the Diplomatic Corps, and of course our moderator, Dr. Ahmad Al-Muhammadi, who never fail to actually shine a bright light on any discussion that I had the opportunity to be with him. And also our esteemed speakers, of course. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Salam Madani. Kong Hi Pak Chai, maybe. Not yet. Coming soon, tomorrow. In a couple of days. And so on and so forth. Yeah. So thank you so very much for inviting me here. I feel like a tiny weeny, speck of the dust. I'm a student of many thinkers. Yeah. I regard myself as a student. I'm still, so talk about lifelong learning. Don't ask me how old I am. I feel that there's a long way to go. And seriously, Joanne, the invitation to come today has given me a new impetus to my so-called emeritus life. I'm awarded the title Professor Emeritus, but if you ask the emerituses what that is all about, they'll give you different definitions. But in my personal view, and in the context of what I'm doing now, which is connected to sustainable development and planetary health, I find that coming here today has forced me, and I use force in a positive sense, to actually wake up. And age is not an excuse. You can't stop. Yeah? And this is important because I think that many people who fall into the group of retired or retirement, they have this sort of blurring of the thinking. Yeah? I say this with the greatest respect and the greatest humility. Yeah? So if some of the retirees feel that they don't agree with me, very good. Yeah? So I'm trying to sort of prove, not to say to prove, I'm trying to sort of give whatever that is possible, because all of our lives are limited. I'm sure everyone in SGI loves Dr. Ikeda to no end. Yeah? And I was told by Professor Bowie that no, nobody will replace him. Yeah, that's how it is. But for us who are left behind, what do? We have to carry on the legacy the best way that we can. So inshallah, we will try to do that. In the context of Malaysia today, actually, I'm in the middle of a workshop in Seremban, organized by the Ministry of Higher Education to look at mata pelajaran umum. The subject that all students are supposed to take in order to gain their degree. It's a compulsory course. And it started 20 years ago. It has gone through a process of evolution. But nobody, and I say this with the greatest respect to everybody, especially the policymakers, nobody until today, very lately, pay a very, very close attention to it. What is it all about? The original intention was to make the students, no matter what degree they are pursuing, engineering, rocket science, what have you, to understand that first of all, they are human beings. And the current chief policy maker in that regard says that we have to bend otak and watak. Otak and watak. Not only do they have to be knowledgeable people and skillful people, but they also have to have character. And what is having a character if you are not properly a human being? So there is a lost science, I think, of what is the human being. What is the human being? And all this talk about AI and the robots taking over and, they doing all the thinking for us, decision making for us, I think it's a disillusion because we fail to understand. So there's so many books that Dr. Ikeda can share with us, so much of his thoughts, yeah. But this book I choose because it explicitly talks about planetary citizenship. Diorang tak suka lah, Malaysians we don't want to be planetary citizens. And then you were talking about universal citizens. No, don't be cynical. Everybody understands that the world is in danger now. Okay, the Sustainable Development Goals are supposed to be achieved by 2030. How many more years left? And everybody knows the achievement level is only about 17%. And everybody knows that 20% about that of the planet's wealth is in the hands of 80% of the people of the planet, and vice versa. Yeah? 80% of the wealth is in the hands of 20% of the wealthiest. And guess what? This is one of the most important things that the book actually underlines. And this book was published in 2004, 20 years ago exactly. And when you read it, it is very relevant here and now, and also for the future. Okay? So this is why I choose this book, because there's so many other books, as all of you must understand. I'm not trying to show off to the SGI members. I'm sure you know much better. Who am I, right? So anyhow, I also try to speak as a Malaysian who understand that Malaysia is a multicultural, multi-faith country. So how do you actually engage with one another? How do you actually pool together our common resources, commonly held beliefs? So this is the importance of dialogue. And I also happen to have been the head of the Center for Civilizational Dialogue, started by the current Honorable Prime Minister 30 years ago almost. Yeah. So I hope you all, I know SGM has been a great supporter of the center, but I hope everybody else, Professor Bagut, help the center to sustain itself for the future. And inshallah, we hope to be able to do more programs together with SGM. So this book is also translated into, tadi Prof ada cakap, talked about Bahasa Melayu kah? Yeah, it has been translated into Bahasa Melayu. Thank you so much to SGM and publisher University Malaya Press. It's on sale outside. And I actually took notes to revive my memory of the contents from the Malay version. And I had no problems because, of course, the translator is a fantastic scholar, Professor Asma Joma. You may have heard of her. Yeah. So it's like, it was very easy going from the Malay into the English to speak to you today. So I think we should not make language an issue at all. Again, it comes from the heart. Do you want to or do you not want to? Yeah? So in the science of the human being, I hope we'll speak a lot more, okay, based on scientific evidences about the heart. Because again, we hear that 50% of citizens of a certain country, I won't mention which country, right, are supposed to have mental health issues. And that the government is supposed to run programs and whatnot, check everybody's mental health. So with due respects, you should know the reasons why such a situation is happening. And then, what about solutions to it? How about addressing the problem at the root level? How does it arise to begin with? Now again, itulah jawapan-jawapan yang diberikan oleh buku ini. So guess what? In my next class, jang, my students will have to read this. Thank you, Joanne. So anyway, the Bengkel, the workshop in Saramban, actually would like us to revive that khusus teras, yeah, which everybody has been looking at with one eye. You know that expression? Looking at it with one eye. Pandang sebelah mata, not important. Right now is to be the focal, one of the. So we'll see how that is successful. And again, do not be cynical. Some people are already cynical. That's the power of hope, isn't it? So, thank you very much for the 3 young people and the young. I think not enough attention is being paid to them. We're not talking to them. We're not loving them enough. We, the elders, are too busy with our visions and missions. We hardly talk to them, embrace them, love them enough. What do you think they're going through? Do you think they like all this transition into the sophisticated technologies? Do you think they plan not to want to read? They don't like to read, you know that? The textbook for philosophy that I come across in the workshop, it is all in graphics form. How do you teach philosophy in graphics form? We'll show you. So how successful has it been in the past? So anyway, no. We are all too familiar with what the problems are. The question is, what are the solutions? Thank you so much for the problem. Cukup. No more space to write what the problems are. So again, this is why I choose this book. Cukup lah. Now you understand why I choose this book, right? So anyhow, this book was published in the Malay version in 2022. And I think, I don't know whether the publishers have stock or not, but I think they should renew their stock. So this book is, as you know, is the dialogue, the outcome of dialogues, a series of dialogues between Dr. Ikeda and Dr. Hazel Henderson, right? And she is an activist and a futurist and also an economist. And of course, we all know who Dr. Ikeda is, yeah? And through their dialogues, they explore the rise of grassroots globalists. This is very critical. The rise of grassroots globalists. The ordinary people. And currently, many of us are also involved with what is called the National Planetary Health Action Plan, worked upon by the Academy of Sciences Malaysia. And it's almost in completion form already. It's going to be taken up to the higher authorities, to the parliament, to be precise, so that it can be implemented under the next Malaysia plan, if possible. Yeah? And in that, the emphasis is grassroots action. Everybody must take action. Planet sehat, kamu sehat. If the planet is healthy, you are healthy. People are no more talking about environmental pollution and all that, talking about health now. Health. Most immediate, are you breathing properly? Are you able to have enough good oxygen, enough good water, enough soil to plant your, and is the climate okay or not? Yeah. So all of that is affecting you, but it is never reversed. The question is never reversed. How did the planet come into crisis to begin with? How were you responsible? Yang ini masih tak ada. What you read in newspapers is, map Malaysia. Okay? Tabik dekat map Malaysia. Next 5 days hujan, flooding here, flooding there. That's all we do. How about why this phenomenon is happening? How about that? Where is the science of that? When are you going to share that? So one of the issues is also the science engineering colleagues are now crying out loud, please, the humanities, the social sciences, bantulah kami, help us. We are already enough spending our time in the lab, understanding the science of the phenomena, but you, to change the behavior of human beings, that's your job. Sokagakai's job. I say that in jest, yeah, but like Tan Sri sudah point out just now, your membership points towards something. It's an index for something, right? And I'm sure Professor Bagut at ISTAC here is also doing tremendously a lot. But what's happening is at the most crucial level, at the thinking and planning level, I think the scientists and the humanities experts are not sitting together still. So this book is an exemplar, it's an example of how you can do that. And neither of them, of course, specifically are scientists, but that having been said, they took the trouble to understand the ecology of things. The word ecology is oikos logos, study or understanding of home, right? Oikos. And the economy is oikos nomos, management of home. So how can you manage home, home meaning the planet, if you don't understand home? What is home? What is inside the home? What makes the home stable and functioning? The science of the environment is not rocket science. It's not rocket science, especially in this age. You just take your handphone and you tekan apa saja you nak, you Google, and you get the explanation, right? So they started this revolution in a big way. There were others, of course, and the beautiful thing about this book is, as you read through the chapters, it opens doors to other people, like Barbara Ward, who was the first person, who was the first economist. She worked at Columbia University. She was an activist in the sense that she went to Africa, she went to Asia to look at how poor people are living. And she came back to the United States and she said, it's the moral duty of the rich to take care that there is more equitable redistribution. Already mentioned just now by Tan Sri and all that. More equitable, more just sharing, distribution of that wealth. And you know what? That incurs, the word moral is very, very critical there. Because morality encompasses sacrifice, syukur, gratitude. And the rich, so sorry if any of you are rich people, I'm sure you all are. Yeah. This is not to upset you or what. But there's just so much resources on the planet. There's just so much. For every millionaire that comes to power, that rises, there's a million people poorer. Why is it that very soon the Muslims have to do Ramadan? Why? And we call it Madrasah Ramadan. We call it Tarbiyah an-Nafs. It's a school for curbing your nafs, your desires. So this issue of understanding who you are and how you can actually go over the limit and how do you actually prevent yourself from going over the limit is a crucial issue. And nobody can talk about this in an open sense. Okay? Very few people, let's try to say that. Yeah? Can I say that? Because if a Muslim were to talk about it, that's an Islamic perspective, I'm not a Muslim. If a Buddhist were to talk about it, that's a Buddhist perspective, I'm not a Buddhist. So that's the other thing that is nice about this book. Dr. Henderson does not say she's anything, but of course she has a background, religious background. Of course, Dr. Ikeda has a religious background. But the narratives that they use are applicable. I mean, people can listen and accept it. This is the important thing. So I think religious leaders have to take note of this. I mean, with due respect, if you have to use your own specific terms, go ahead. Go ahead, that's very important. But there need to be people who actually can bridge the understanding. And I think this is done quite successfully in this book, plus other books, yeah? Okay, so definition, maybe a little bit of definition. I'm sure all of you are very well versed with this, but then again, I just want to clarify to myself and maybe young people who are not familiar with planetary citizenship, because some people are scared of planetary citizenship. It means equalizing everybody. You already have globalization, right? Isn't that enough? Yeah, but today's problem is borderless. We always speak about borderless communication, you know, technology. You press your button here and you get the email in South Pole in 2 seconds, right? You talk about the shrinking world. But then again, you hardly talk about the responsibility part. If you pollute the air here, that pollution will go everywhere. Very, very fast. Maybe not in 2 seconds, but everybody will suffer as well. So you have to be very careful with what you do. So that planetary citizenship is the idea that people are responsible for the environment and other collective goods and are willing to act. Angkat tangan siapa willing to act. I won't look. Yeah? To achieve them. And it is an evolving concept of citizenship that emphasizes intergenerational relationships and values. And you say that's very blur, I don't understand. Read the book lah. Because these people, they're not just evolving in philosophies, not involved in philosophical talk only, but they give you actual examples. Okay? From the top, at the institutional level, top leadership level, to the rakyat marhaim, to the grassroots level. So what does it mean to be a planetary citizen? Do you stop to be a Malaysian citizen? No lah. It means, you know, and one of the chapters is think globally, act locally. So, see, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you know, thinkers have already talked about this. And today, it is being forgotten. We are lost, we are drowned in, I don't know, so-called newer issues. Whereas the most fundamental ones, which you should be tackling, is sometimes peripheralized. And I think this is the value of this talk today, inshallah. So what does it mean to be a PC, planetary citizen? First, to be aware and reflective, and you can see the world from new perspectives, and to take action against injustices for the sake of justice. Okay, conventional people with no specific religions, just everybody value justice, right? If you don't want justice, you don't believe in the need for justice, then civilization will collapse. Civilization will collapse, right? And the opposite of justice is what? Zulum. Zulum, zalim. Apa itu? Injustice, ya tahu. But zalim is corruption to the highest level, destruction. Yeah. The absence of justice is not merely injustice, but what does it refer to? Chaos. Chaos. No order. No balance, no empathy, no mercy. Rule of the jungle, right? So we all have to understand that, and the planetary citizen is able to construct intercultural and solidarity based on their common planetary citizenship. This cross-cultural, intercultural, like what we're having today. So I hope we will see more of these cross-cultural interactions. So what is the benefit to having this mentality that we must become part of the planetary citizenship? Is that we can help solve problems like climate change, depletion of natural resources, biodiversity loss. We can lead to we can work towards overcoming political barriers between people, and we can help create a transformation of human consciousness, which will all shift us to mindsets of separation to interconnectedness. I mean, as a Muslim, we are all Bani Adam. I'm sure, I hope others, there are some people here who will support that idea also, who also believe in that, as 124,000 prophets sent to all the communities of the planet. So, but the interconnectedness seems to have been lost. You know, we should have quite important common platform as a basis of our unity. But as Professor Dato' Osman Bakar says a few weeks ago, the world insists on being disunited. The signs for the importance of being united is clear. But many people just choose to be, they choose to be disunited. sorry, that is my telephone. I switched it off, yeah? So I switched it off. Yeah. So okay, so before I go further, I also think that for those who are very knowledgeable about this is okay, but I think we need to go over again what are the most important principles of Dr. Ikeda's views and thinking. Number one, the dignity of the individual. Number one, dignity of the individual. All valuable, everyone is valuable and worthy of respect. Come on lah, please lah respect. We should treat each other with compassion, regardless of our backgrounds and differences. Not easy to do, easy to say, but not easy to do. Number two, he says the importance of education, which Tan Sri, of course, dwelt upon more, in a much better manner. And education is the key to peace. Look around us. With the minimum wage being like that, Tan Sri is scared that people are going to be upset with him, right? So many students now, after Form 5, not wanting to go to universities. Because what can they do with 1,500, 1,700? Look at the cost, your rents, your transportation, your food. So Tan Sri, we are with you, don't worry, we will fight the cost with you. Cakap je lah, tak tahu macam mana kan. But, you know, if they scold you, we will be there to help defend you. Because it's not, again, nobody wants to touch the issue of the rising gap between rich and poor. The rich keep on being rich. And the taxation system, you know, if in the religious sense, the infaq, the zakat, that is not being, you know, made to be successful better, in a better way. You know what I'm trying to say? The systems that aim or that is supposed to be able to create more equitable distribution of wealth doesn't seem to be functioning very well. So then he says the power of dialogue. And really, you have to read these dialogues with the people. There's a special book. I think he selects about 30 people. He has met many people, of course, but he chose 30 that is most meaningful to him. And you can see the power of dialogue. And in the book and I think we spoke about this at ISTAC maybe last year, maybe Abdul Rahman Wahid, yeah, that's right. Hikmah, the power of wisdom. So the conversation was between a Muslim leader and him. And the dialogue began with, you know, just getting to know where were you born, which village, how was life like. That is to be human, isn't it? So do we do that? So I think the problem with the lack of dialogue is that the encounter between people is getting less and less. You know, and in fact, we use this technology to spread misperceptions, misunderstandings. I don't understand you, but I don't like what you're doing. I think I don't like what you're doing. I don't understand, right? So I just tell my friends not to like you. And I don't have time to actually look at that. But this has been raised in many platforms to say that, you know, if you're not careful, this gadget can be a force of disunity. It's not the fault of the gadget, but it's the fault of the human being. Like Jack Ma says, there are things that the gadgetry, the robots cannot do because they're not humans. But the question is, what are those things? And mercy, love, and all this, like what Dr. Ikeda is saying. Okay, so the power of dialogue is the best way to resolve conflicts, to build a better world, and the need to listen to each other and be willing to compromise and find solutions for all. This is deeply taught in Islam. Compromisers, listening, to be empathetic. Yeah, even in an argument, even if you are in the right to for you to find solutions, peaceful solutions, and not to insist you are right. You know, that is a great virtue, much praised in our faith. Number 4, the importance of culture. Yeah, we saw, yeah, and congratulations to SGM, of course SGI, I'm sure, yeah, for all the efforts, yeah. And lots of people, again, look at this with one eye. Culture, why is important? You don't understand that without culture, without music, without, you know, beauty, the human being is not complete. So who can talk about beauty? Rocket scientists cannot. Not that they don't want to. As humans, they will like it, but it's not their job to work on it. Who? The humanities and the social sciences. So those of us who are in the humanities and social sciences, please work harder and contribute better, and stop that barrier. You know, we don't like the scientists because they're kasar, they lack finesse. You know the usual complaints. You know what I'm talking about? So sudahlah. Dia tak gerti smile, you smile. They don't invite you in their projects, you offer. So don't sweat over things which speak less of your character. Okay? Be the bigger person. You heard that expression before? Be the bigger person. I don't care if you don't like me. It's okay. I won't get hurt. The ego, is it? Lots of people talk about this, and who best can talk about this other than people in the humanities? And then the need for social justice, of course, and we have the responsibility to create a just and equitable. Tak apalah, we say this, like one of the lecturers in the workshop said, you be repeating yourself, but it's okay, he says. The issue of repetition. Why do Muslims pray 5 times a day, every day? Tak boleh ke satu kali je, that's it? No, there's a wisdom behind that. It jives with who and what we are, right? So number 6, the importance of peace, which is not simply the absence of war, but is a state of harmony. Also, Prof. Datuk Abdul Aziz talked about this, and well-being. We should work together to solve the problems that threaten the planet. Bunyi macam CP2 lah, 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2, 8, I know this is nothing new. Ya, tapi kenapa tak buat? Why aren't we making it work? Right? So if nothing else, what we're saying is, I think we should work hand in hand with our friends in SGM and elsewhere to make this a reality. And then the power of hope, very critical. Lots of people don't have hope actually. That's why the numbers that are, suicidal and all that is increasing. And suicide apparently is getting higher and higher among the younger group. It used to be 17 and above, now it's getting younger. And then the importance of action, of course, words not enough. So I'm sorry to those people who think that by getting into the public sphere, academics are trying to make celebrities of themselves. Well, it's up to you what you want to think. But I think the media is just a platform. You have to provide the content. And those people with the vision and substantial and substantiated ideas and plans, they should use the platform. Then the power of the human spirit. This is not much talked about at all. People are scared of this. What spirit? What is a spirit? Hantu kah? There's a lot of programs regarding, ghosts on TV now. Did you notice that? There's Japanese ghosts, there's Chinese ghosts, Korean ghosts, Malay ghosts, of course, Indonesian ghosts. And people are competing to show which ghost story is most scary. What does that say? If anybody is in the media here, maybe we should just talk about this. Some people have the opinion that you can't just be talking about good, benda-benda baik. So you have to look at the ugly side of life, the scary part of life. Yeah, I understand. But then create content that at the end of it, you come up with a good message. You've captivated people's attention for hours and hours and hours. At the end of the day, what have you done to that consciousness, that person? Don't you have some moral responsibility? And finally, the importance of faith. Again, people don't talk about this. What is faith? Where does it come from? How would you sustain it? How is it manifested? Right? So these 10 principles are a call for action for everybody. And it's shareable through the narratives and dialogues of these 2 people in this book. Right? Nanti tak nak beli buku lain, nak beli buku ni je. So I'm just saying that when you want to understand somebody's vision and mission, you have to sort of look at the whole spectrum, right? From the beginning, from the core, the reasons, what made Dr. Ikeda the person that he was, what brought on that kind of mindset, and most critical, how is it relevant to me and the time that we are in today, right? So many chapters of this book, of course, there are 10
Prof,
chapters altogether. Dah habis
1 minute.
masa kan? Dah habis masa? Finish. Finish. Done?
1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. Thank you. So, maybe from the themes or the titles of the chapters, those of you who are not familiar can understand what this book contains, right? So the first chapter is about a life of civic action, the importance of that. Now, what does it mean to have civic action? So SGM, I think, is showing how you do civic action. Number 2, the universal call, the university called human life. The university called human life. I remember one ustaz on Radio IKIM that talks about University of Life. So, maknanya these are common themes that we can call forth to step up our commonly believed actions. Number 3, saving the mother of life. You can guess who and what that is. Number 4, and I like this very much, a new economics. Today people are talking about circular economy. What is that all about? Philanthropic-based economics. And for the Muslims, talking about wakaf ventures, right? Muslim economists are excited. So I just wish the rich amongst you, the bankers, whatever, help this group. Because they are mainly at the ideas level. Yeah? So how do you promote this? Number 5, thinking globally, acting locally. We mentioned about that a little bit. Number 3 is revolutionizing civilizations. I think it's resuscitating civilizations, but of course you have to define first. Yeah, doctor, coming. Number 7, a technology to benefit the future. This is important, isn't it? Don't simply do new technologies for the sake of profits. More profits. Why you doing it? Profit. But what does it actually do to the human being at the end of the day? Don't know, don't care, not my problem. And then the Earth Charter and environmental ethics. The Earth Charter is where we promulgated in 2012 in United Nations. More than 94 countries signed up, and more than 100 NGOs and institutions and together. It was a group effort, collective effort. And of course, as mentioned just now, Dr. Ikeda would have been there, right? And then the Century of Women, sorry, to the ladies, no time to touch on that later. You have to do the 3rd lecture series after this. And then, of course, the win-win society. So like they say, like they claim, hope. Never lose hope. Have faith. And then have the gratitude for having life. What does it mean to be alive? To be able to think. Itu sajalah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Thank you so much. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Azizan, for the word of wisdom that you shared with us this morning. Let us continue then, ladies and gentlemen, with Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Barwood, the Dean of ISTAC.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Once again, good morning, everyone. First, let me acknowledge the presence of His Excellency, the Cuban Ambassador in this session. Thank you very much indeed for coming. You are always very supportive of our programs and activities. So, brothers and sisters, I'm not sure what to add. After I had Prof. Tansri and also Prof. Azizan, I'm just going to make some footnote of what they have mentioned. Really wonderful to hear from them. I think they paved the way for a better understanding of Ikeda. I got the paper here 9 pages about this conference here, and also a PowerPoint, which is here. I'm not sure, can we move the PowerPoint? Okay, so, okay, yeah, okay. So, first of all, let me tell you that I'm going to talk to you about the international or the global Ikeda. Daisaku Ikeda, the international perspective, the global perspective. For your information, I came to know about him in 2016, 2017, when I was the Timbaland rector in UIE. And first time I met with the SGM group of people, and they give me a book which talks about Ikeda, the dialogue between Ikeda and Arnold Toynbee. And myself, I like Arnold Toynbee. Part of my PhD thesis is about Arnold Toynbee. I said to myself, if this man did dialogue with Arnold Toynbee, he should be a great man. So I went through the book, and since then, I start studying his ideas. And I look at them from an academic perspective and also maybe socio-cultural perspective. I agree 100% with Tan Sri Anwar when he mentioned that we can relate many ideas of Ikeda to our educational system here, because many ideas that he is talking about actually in accordance with Falsafa Pendidikan Kebangsaan. The Falsafa Pendidikan Kebangsaan, a part of it talks about insan sejahtera, talks about the balanced human being, talks about nurturing a person or a human being who is intellectually, morally, mentally, ethically, socially, and all well prepared. And if you check the philosophy of Ikeda, because the title of my paper here is Daisaku Ikeda's Vision for Prosperous and Peaceful World, you will find that in his vision, he starts from this point of the human being, of the individual that you project, that you nurture. What type of a human being, what quality of a human being we build, we nurture, we educate for the purpose of dealing with the world challenges, whether the economic challenges, the sustainability challenges, the environment challenges, the social challenges, the education challenges. It starts in his vision from that human being. And that's why you see in this one, the heart there. That's what is missing unfortunately, in the contemporary Western orientation of education, orientation of science, of orientation of knowledge, very sophisticated, materially, innovation, invention, economic, numbers, measures. But when it comes to the science of the soul, the science of the heart, the science of the substance that drives civilization, that drives culture, that drives people, that drives everything, it is somehow missing. That's why in Ikeda's vision for a prosperous and peaceful world, it starts from the human being, from the soul, from the heart, from the character. That's why if you read here, you see here, that's what he says here. You know what we say here? if the tragedies of this century of war and revolution have taught us anything, it is the folly of believing that reform of external factors, such as social systems, is the linchpin to achieving happiness. I don't think so. It's not mainly about the external, the measures, the outer. He says, I am convinced that in the coming century, which is this century, the greatest emphasis must be placed on fostering inward, directed change. In addition, our effort must be inspired by a new understanding of life and death. Not only life, not only matter, not only money, but the hope mentioned by the three great people who, our great young girls and boys who read the poetry of hope. It starts there. So brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, the vision of Ikeda, this world vision for prosperity and peace of the world, starts from the human being, from the people, from prioritizing you yourself in your holistic self, not material only, not innovation only, not mind only, not intelligence only, not IQ only, but cultural intelligence, emotional intelligence, soul intelligence, heart intelligence, character intelligence, and you combine those things, brothers and sisters. In 1993, Ikeda presented a lecture in Harvard University. 1993. This is why, this is one excerpt from that speech. He was talking in 1993 not about the 21st century, still in the 20th century. He was talking about this. So, we need to see here Ikeda speaks about the importance, as I said, of the human beings. That's why I can read for you here part of this paper. His unwavering commitment to cultivating a prosperous and peaceful world is highlighted by a distinctive integration of philosophical insight and practical, pragmatic action. That's one of his visions. He's not just talking about philosophy, about abstract, about the world, about compassion, about empathy, but about translating this into action. That's why we can consider Ikeda as one of the people under SGM that shifted the focus of SGM to the global, to the international. And to do that, you need actually to provide an international discourse, an international narrative, an international agenda. And that's what he provided through his peace resolutions, United Nations resolutions, Sukagaka University International. All these are means and tools to show that his ideas and thoughts and wisdom can go international, because without these mechanisms, you just talk to yourself. So this idea of pragmatic action, which underscores the interrelation between the pillars of change, personal development, and societal advancement, as well as the moral, ethical, and material excellence. In his vision for a prosperous world and world peace, it's not enough just to focus on one aspect, leaving the others. This paper, this concise exposition, seeks to analyze the fundamental principles of Ikeda's vision examining how his concepts address modern issues, including conflict resolution. That's why his relation with the United Nations and environmental sustainability, nuclear disarmament, the restoration of world peace, and global citizenship. Considering his perspectives and actions allow for a deeper understanding of the major implications of his efforts in achieving a future defined by harmony, prosperity, engagement, trust, and mutual respect. Daisaku Ikeda has provided to us a framework in which we can engage in order to solve problems and challenges facing humanity, not only our own individual, but as a whole. This expose explains the profound vision of Ikeda, which highlights the interrelation between social ideals, education, cultural tolerance, open-mindedness, and global collaboration to deal with the world issues. Process, he says, it is very clear that Daisaku Ikeda provides a kind of a philosophy that is more global and more international. Now, the main pillars of his vision includes, number one, he perceives the world as a unit of analysis. This one is an academic term. Unit of analysis means his thought, his ideas are directed towards dealing with the issues of the world, of the human beings, not just in Japan, or just in his place, or in his own Sokai Gakak team, but he is trying to say that our vision for the world should include all this. The current relevance of Daisaku Ikeda's vision is paramount, especially as nations confront complex global issues like conflict, inequality, warfare, health crisis, economic difficulties, and environmental deterioration. We need to address issues at the global level. His focus on education for peace, collaboration, dialogue, mutual understanding provides a vital framework for promoting peace, urging individuals and communities to transcend their own culture and ideology and provide what they have of wisdom for the sake of solving humanity. Because solving humanity is solving ourselves. Solving ourselves is contribution to solving what humanity is facing. He says here, we should transcend cultural and ideological divides to collectively construct harmonious and prosperous societies. His vision advocates for collectivism, cooperation, and humanism, contesting dominant narrative of division and conflict, and instead promoting communal responsibility and action towards a more harmonious and peaceful world. This demands, this request or this idea resonates deeply across various cultural systems and ways of looking at change. Therefore, the ideas of Ikeda from this first perspective of considering the world as the focus shows that there are many common values in all religions and cultures that speak the same. So, paving the way for a common ground of all religions and cultures to provide their common values to deal with the human issues and problems. Ikeda extensively utilizes Buddhist principles and ideas, highlighting the intrinsic dignity of every human being and the interdependence of all life forms. This idea of the dignity of the human being as a principle for a vision for the world resonates also with Islam, for example, as a religion. In Islam, the Quran says every human being is created dignified by default. There is no difference between a black or white or left or right. Every human being has the value of a human life intrinsically in him by default of being a human being. So human rights comes later. The value of human life comes first. Then we put the human rights, the economic right, the social right, all types of rights comes when you dignify the human being. So this idea resonates also in his vision with what our religion and other religions also provide. Number two, the other principle of Ikeda's vision for prosperity and peace of the world is humanity-centered vision, which is based on human values. That's why he speaks about compassion or hope or empathy or care or serve. These are the values of the model, which I'm explaining to you. It's the same. When you go to our religion as Islam, or you go to other religions, even Christianity or other religions, you will find that they are focusing on these values and ethics that can bring people together. This is very important. So based on this idea of values, ethics, morality as the center of our vision towards the world and towards environment, comes the idea that the change must be from within, not from outside. We cannot do much from outside. We tried already in the last 200 years in the domination of the Western approach and worldview, in which we created a very sophisticated civilization, scientifically great, economically and all this, but we created, on the other hand, very destructive problems to humanity. Environment problems, social problems, war and killing. On the one hand, we talk about advancement, space, technology, AI. On the other hand, we are talking about the danger of AI, the danger of our economic actions that destroy the environment. So there is a dichotomy. There is an issue here. That's why if our change starts from within and from the inner, then it starts from wisdom, not from knowledge, not from innovation. It starts first from knowledge. In the Quran, God says God will not change the condition of any people unless and until they change what in themselves. It's a matter of the soul, the heart, the mindset, the culture, the character, the perspective, whether you are an economist or a lawyer or engineer or a professor, it's all the heart that guides people. So we found these things resonating here. Dr. Ahmed, 5 minutes. Okay. So I put it in this way. The idea of Ikeda here, I always use this iceberg, which explains what is up, the outer, and what is the soul, what is the heart, what conditions balanced civilization. It's not just the outer things there, the KPI, the measures, the IT, the buildings, it's good. But what conditions real, balanced, responsible civilization is actually balanced life, dignity, self-satisfaction, inner peace, culture, objectives in life. These are the things that really matter when it comes to a vision for prosperity and peace of the world. The other principle in Ikeda vision of world prosperity and peace, the centrality of dialogue in building bridges. I think Prof. Tansri and Prof. Azizan touched on this. Ikeda asserts that real discourse and dialogue transcend superficial conversation. It's just not a matter of a meeting like this, we see each other, we converse and we go. It's a deep dialogue, it's a culture. It's a culture, it's a habit, it's a way of life. When culture, when dialogue becomes really impactful, he says that it requires a sincere commitment and a readiness to listen, accept, and empathize. Empathy. In his presentation, he contemplates the foundational values of the United Nations, emphasizing the essential role of discussions and collaboration among nations in fulfilling its mandate to promote global peace and security. I move forward because of the time. Number 4, the other pillar is education, a key to promoting peace and prosperity. I think it has been already mentioned, but I just read from him here. Education functions as a crucial instrument for promoting peace, harmony, trust, and respect, since it nurtures values are essential for harmony and values-driven societies. That's why education nurtures those people who are balanced with spiritual and material skills. They can navigate and they can handle challenges because education, according to him, cultivates empathy, respect for diversity, trust in others, caring and serving, and engaging in constructive dialogue skills. All these are essential for problem or conflict resolution and problem solving. I have to rush now. The other thing is, there are a lot of things here, but let me read for you the other pillar here, which is number 5, Ikeda's peace proposals and their impacts on global diplomacy. 40 years of action. These things, Daisaku Ikeda's peace proposals and activities have profoundly impacted global diplomacy by fostering communication, understanding, and collaboration among many countries. His approach promotes a multipolar world where varied perspectives can coexist, contesting the conventional supremacy of Western geopolitical narratives. Ikeda highlights the necessity for a cooperative strategy in conflict resolution by addressing modern challenges, engaging everyone. Okay, I go here. It's all here now. Okay, these are some of the points of Ikeda here. I just go forward here. To recapitulate, Daisaku Ikeda's vision for a prosperous and peaceful world constitutes an appealing framework for tackling the contemporary difficulties by including cultural values, a humanity-driven perspective, and social engagement. His focus on dialogue, understanding, tolerance, trust, compassion, empathy, and active engagement in community development reflects ideas upheld by numerous organizations and movements aimed at societal development. Daisaku Ikeda's views reflect a deep dedication to fostering a culture of peace and advancing humanity ideals, highlighting people's capacity to effect social change. The capacity of Daisaku Ikeda's concepts to motivate future generation resides in their steadfast commitment to all perspectives mentioned before. Brothers and sisters, there are many things to learn from Ikeda. He reminds me of great scholars like Gandhi, like Ahmadu Mbaba, like Malik bin Nabi, like Saeed Nursi, like all these great people who never got the chance to get PhD or 2 PhDs like myself. And to get all these titles, but they got the wisdom. We start all from wisdom and move forward. With this, I thank you all. May God bless you. Wassalamu alaikum.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Abdulaziz Baruth, for your sharing. Let us continue then with Mr. Joni, the President of Soka Gakkai Malaysia. You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. Distinguished guests, Your Excellency, esteemed speakers, and those friends who are online. I understand there are about 500 of them. Do you think you need to stand up to stretch your legs a little bit? If not, then I will go on, right? Oh yeah, okay, some of you responded, good. Please. Yeah. So nice, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Thank you, thank you. First, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation to ISTAC IIUM, led by Prof. Aziz, for hosting the second memorial lecture. I would also like to extend a big thank you to our distinguished speakers for their enlightening lectures that highlights Ikeda's continued legacy, its relevance to the modern world. And of course, to all of you for making it to this memorial lecture. We are here to honor and pay tribute to the President Perpetuity of Soka Gakkai International. So, this memorial lecture actually is a tribute for his unwavering commitment to fostering a harmonious and just society. And holding the memorial lecture today on the occasion of SCI's 50th anniversary actually added significance to this event. It reminds us that Ikeda's effort for peace has spanned more than half a century. You agree with me? Right. I'm not a scholar like the 3 esteemed speakers before me. I stand here as a representative of Ikeda's disciple. My relationship with Ikeda Sensei began the day when I joined Soka Gakkai in 1967. That was a long time ago. I remember it was at the Soka Gakkai discussion meeting when I first heard the name Ikeda and his guidance. I was deeply impressed. As a Form 5 student then, seeking to understand more about life, very curious about everything, I felt I could accept such a person because he seemed to treasure and trust the youth. So the turning point in my life came when I met Ikeda in 1974 at a student meeting in Japan. I was deeply inspired by such a visionary philosopher, and I resolved to join my fellow youth to strive alongside him for the peace and happiness of humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, to illustrate Ikeda's vision and tireless commitment to supporting and empowering the youth, please allow me to quote a long poem entitled Youth Scale the Mountain of the 21st Century, which he composed in 1981. This poem has a great impact on me and many other youth in my time. When I first read the poem, I say, wow, it's only 1981. He was already talking about 21st century, preparing the youth to meet the challenges of the 21st century. So to me, it was still another 20 years to go. But see what Ikeda said in the poem. He said, the mountain of the 21st century looms before us. It's already within sight. To us, it's still 20 years ago, but to go. But to Ikeda, 21st century is within sight. Okay? Okay, you have the slides. Huh? And then, actually, but Ikeda is more than, his vision is just more than 20 years. As a true visionary, actually, he really always looked to the future. And I just like to mention, if you are really do research in his writing, you will come to know that actually he had actually come up with a 7 bell and 7 bells. Each bell is 7 years. So he was already planning up to the 23rd century. True, really a visionary. So Ikeda encouraged the youth to grow as leaders who will walk along people and engage with people. And people should be central to everything. So take a look at the photo, at the poem. I like to just highlight that sentence. Never forgetting to walk along with people, for the people are the sovereign. That's 20 years before the 21st century. He was talking to the youth and preparing us to be future leaders who will walk along people, right? Truly humanistic. And then another passage, slide number 2, and he said, my young friends, I hope each of you, as leaders of the new century, will remain engaged with the people. Again, he tells us to always walk along with people. So Ikeda, he actually has always advocated the importance of solidarity among people to resolve world issues. To him, actually, this is based on his belief and endless trust in the people of awakened individuals. And he always had this positive view that problems created by people can be resolved by people. That is why it's so important to work alongside people. So Ikeda's contribution to peace actually is manifold. And through his prolific writings, right, speeches and dialogues, he has inspired millions of people to embrace the path of nonviolence and reconciliation. So SGM, as a member of SGM, endeavors to put into practice Ikeda's ideals of peace, culture, and education. And our peace movement actually can be said to be inspired by these words, that nothing is more precious than peace. Nothing brings more happiness. Peace is the most basic starting point for the advancement of humankind. We are inspired by this word, that we continue to strive for peace. So Ikeda firmly believes that peace is not merely the absence of war, some the speaker mentioned just now. And I will briefly elaborate on the peace initiative due to interest of time. I want to talk about peace, culture, and education. I will just touch on his peace initiative. For a start, I'd like to mention that as part of his peace initiative, Ikeda founded many institutions. In Japan, you have the Fuji Art Museum, you have the Minnon Music Association to promote music and art and so on. I'd like to especially mention and also Toda Institute for Peace. I'd like to mention especially about IOP, Institute of Oriental Philosophy. I'm sure all of you are by now have heard of this organization. So the recent exhibition, slide 5, the shared values on peace and harmonious coexistence. This exhibition is actually features two exhibitions. One is the ISTAC IIUM exhibition about Islam and peace, and Lotus Sutra exhibition about harmonious coexistence. So in ISTAC here, it was held in September. About more than 4,000 people within 2 weeks came for the exhibition. People from all walks of life, interfaith groups, and so on. It was a beautiful interfaith exchange. And then later on, the exhibition moved to Johor Bahru, where we was held for about more than 60 days. More than 40,000 people turned up, right? The exhibition can be taken as an ode to diversity and serve as a vital platform to explore the deep connections between Islam and Buddhism, two traditions that share profound commitments to peace, compassion, and harmonious coexistence for all people. So that was an initiative by IOP, along, of course, together with the local partners, including the Ministry of National Unity. So as a follow-up, IOP is organizing a symposium entitled the International Symposium on Dialogue between Islam and Buddhism. And our learned professor here and Dr. Ayan have accepted their invitation to speak at the symposium scheduled this May 2025 at Soka University, Japan. Next, I'd like to talk about, you want to talk about peace, you have to talk about United Nations. So it's natural to turn to United Nations, whose main objectives are the maintenance of international peace and security, the promotion of the well-being of the peoples of the world, and the international cooperation to these ideals. So Ikeda recognized the universal role of the United Nations. He emphasized that for the United Nations to be effective, the world body should be organized by the people, the world for the people, by the people, and actually that is the way it should be done. He even suggested that even the funding could come from private organizations. So at the core of the UN purpose is the Parliament of Humanity. So a venue where voices can be heard and all perspectives can be represented. So that's why it's so important to support the UN. And United Nations being an intergovernmental organization, very often what is adopted actually there's conflict with national interests of the constituent member. So that's why we need to continue to support the United Nations. So as civil society, SGI and its affiliates will continue to support and empower UN's effort to promote human security. Next, I'd like to talk about, as part of his effort to support the United Nations, Ikeda Sensei actually introduced and issued annual peace proposal. In 1981, the UN adopted the resolution to establish the International Day of Peace. And shortly, 2 years later, and SGI President Ikeda published his first peace proposal on 26 January 1983. Since then, a total of 40 such peace proposals were published annually from 1983 non-stop until 2022. These annual proposals touch on world issues such as human rights, refugees, education reforms, women's rights, environment, abolition of nuclear weapons, and so on. Okay, these peace proposals, as well as statements he continued to issue on the challenges facing humanity today, gave impetus and direction to build a lasting culture of peace. And they have inspired action and policy development, such as the UN Decade of Education for Sustainable Development. It's so important, you see. Actually, it does play its part. So the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, Ambassador Chowdhury, he wrote and says that The foundation of all Ikeda's peace proposal has been the reawakening of human spirit. And he said that Ikeda talks about human revolution that will bring out the best in everybody, which should be the ultimate objective of every individual and nation. Bring out the best in everybody. So as an example, the peace proposal that highlighted the plight of the refugees, actually it has inspired SGM. We actually took care of a madrasa, a refugee school for the Rohingya. And our members, our women actually visited them often and actually taught them handicrafts and so on, show concern and love to all these refugees children. In fact, this has inspired actually many institutions and colleges. And we even got calls from Singapore and other countries, how do we do it? And in fact, there's one part I'd like to mention was that we actually collected at one stage drawings from the Rohingya children and sent them to Japan and to be viewed by the Japanese children. And those children were so inspired. And actually later on they sent a few boxes of stationery. What a beautiful exchange, isn't it? Between people and people, between children, right? So we believe such proposals may not be immediately accepted, but it can actually serve as a spark from which a movement for peace will eventually spread like wildfire. So, though Ikeda Sensei has left us, his legacy of 40 peace proposals will continue to illuminate the world with solutions to world issues like climate change, the threats of nuclear weapons, and so on. And we hope the scholars, the politicians, will actually search through such peace proposals, and definitely you will find solutions to the current world issues. So at this stage, I'm pleased to announce that ISTAC IIUM has set up a research unit to research on Daisaku Ikeda's 40 years of peace proposal. And thank you. And they will look into its impact on the world, and that has begun, I think, late last year. And ISTAC will later publish their finding and hold symposium on the impact of peace proposal. Please stay tuned. Right. So, and then next I'd like to talk quickly about, at the heart of Ikeda's approach to peace is the belief in the power of dialogue. So as mentioned earlier, the uniqueness of Ikeda's proposal lies in the fact that he has continuously advocated the importance of solidarity among people to create peace. So next, I'd like you to take a look at the UNESCO's constitution that says, since war begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace should be built. That's why he focused so much on people, human revolution. So there is great wisdom in the preamble of the world body. It shows humanity the way to world peace. We need to transform ourselves, change the way we look at things, and understand that we are interconnected. So it's only by achieving inner transformation, basing on the respect for the dignity of life in self and others, and courageously engage in dialogue, can we tear down the barrier that divide us. Agree? In Soka Gakkai, we advocate the concept of human revolution that also stresses on the inner transformation. This quote from Ikeda, a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of a nation, and further will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. Just start with one person. Look at people like Gandhi. one person advocated non-violence, right? It transformed the world. Ikeda, he transformed the world now, right? So one person actually could do wonders if you really search within, right? So this quote is well known to millions of SGI members and friends worldwide, and serves as a reminder to transform ourselves first before you talk about transforming the world. So how do we now talk about individuals and civil society? Create a culture of peace in society and help to make this world a better and safer world. Okay, I know I'm eating into your lunchtime. Okay, I will just quickly end up by saying that SGM actually, for inspired by Ikeda's ideology, that actually we wanted to create a groundswell of grassroots, common people. Together, we actually create a culture of peace. So way back in 2005, actually we held a run for peace for the people. Started with 1,500, 2005. Biannual means every 2 years once. By the year 2019, just the year before the pandemic, we reached a peak of 110,000. So in that event, 2009, we have 12, it was spread out in 20 over locations, and 12 members of parliament, including the then defense minister, Masabu, YB Masabu, he came. And the 12 members of parliament, they signed the ICAN pledge, urging the Malaysian government to ratify the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. The treaty, TPNW, was adopted by UN in the year 2017, but it needs to be ratified by at least 50 nations. So finally, Malaysia became the 46th nation to ratify the treaty, right? So actually, we were proud that when the defense minister, YB Hishamuddin Hussein, he mentioned SGI and also other societies like Red Crescent for their support in getting this treaty ratified. What I'm trying to say is, peace starts with me. And in the last year, after the pandemic, we held the Run for Peace. We were so happy that actually IUM was actually became one of the venue of Run for Peace. And then with this, I think more and more people get to know about the peace concept of Daisaku Ikeda. And then last year, the Run for Peace, we added one more motto: peace start with me and act now for SDG. We are into SDG. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end with a call for action. All of us should actually respond and really continue to soldier on for peace, right? And then for the 2025 Run for Peace, which is scheduled on September 7th, please join us and let us send out a message: peace start with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Johnny, the President of the Soccer Kai Malaysia. I believe that we learned so much from our discussion this morning. I think the event is not complete without some kind of interaction with the audience. With that, I would like to invite the people of the audience to share their thoughts and ask questions. Please introduce yourself and go straight to the question. And yeah, be short. You're welcome. Maybe we can take one or two questions first. Yes, anyone would like to share their thoughts or ask question, you may come to the mic here. And I think we also have the online transmission right now. The online transmission will end